Shut the video camera off.
I will keep it on until we're rehearsing.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I'm kind of blacklisted. I haven't gotten a studio job in 15 years.
So you feel in a way that you are banned from the...
No, not in a way.
You are?
Yeah, I think.
Val Kilmer didn't just fade out of Hollywood, he got wiped off the map. Right when he was climbing to the top of the game, dude vanished from big screens. No warning, no goodbye, nothing. And now, Mel Gibson's finally pulling back the curtain, spilling the wild truth behind why Kilmer refused to play nice in the industry, and how that move might have cost him everything. Let's take it back to the 80s and early 90s. Val Kilmer wasn't just starring in movies. He was the moment. This guy wasn't some random actor. He was Juilliard trained, youngest one ever accepted, straight up oozing talent from every angle.
He had that rare fire casting directors dream about. Yeah, he had attitude, but he had the work to back it up. Top Secret, Top Gun, The Doors, Tombstone. When he stepped into Jim Morrison's shoes, fans legit thought it was the real Morrison back from the dead. And by the time he rocked the cape in Batman Forever in '95, Kilmer wasn't just famous, he was Hollywood royalty.
Then boom, gone. When Batman and Robin hit theaters, where was Val? Nowhere. Out of the picture. George Clooney swooped in, but nobody explained anything. Not a word. Just silence. And director Joel Schumacher? He didn't bite his tongue. Nah. He unleashed in an interview with The Independent. This wasn't just throwing shade. He went full scorched earth.
But do you think that people found it difficult to work with you because of that?
What's the one past difficult? Impossible?
Impossible.
Yeah, I'm kind of blacklisted. I haven't gotten a studio job in 15 years.
So you feel in a way that you are banned from the...
No, not in a way.
You are?
Yeah, I think.
Are your goal to get back or...
Yeah, I'd love to. I've always watched movies and wondered what I'd be like in that.
He called Val straight up psychotic, said he was tired of covering for spoiled, overpaid stars, claimed he prayed to never work with Kilmer again. Then he threw the pettiest line ever. He was badly behaved. He was rude and inappropriate. Then we had 2 weeks where he didn't speak to me. But it was bliss. But let's get real. Since when did being difficult ever get a guy blacklisted from Hollywood?
I had ideas, insecurities, obviously, about myself that I projected onto the movie business. Just the sounds coming out of my mouth. It was just absurdly unrealistic. So apparently, I have an evil twin.
Come on.
I was a dumb actor, but I did complain quite a bit when I was younger. I didn't appreciate the business that afforded me the lifestyle that I very quickly enjoyed. Very quickly. I starred in my first movie. I was the lead in the first play I did professionally. And now that I don't have that privilege, I wish that I loved more. I want to be a better person. I try to figure that out every day and of being more grateful.
Half of Tinseltown runs on drama and ego. Plenty of A-listers have snapped on set and still left with awards in hand. So what gives? Was Kilmer really out of control? Or was he just not kissing up to the right people? Then came the whispers, the kind that don't fade. Word on the street? Val Kilmer was blacklisted. And guess what? Val didn't deny it. In fact, he opened up in one of the rawest interviews of his life. He said straight up, it wasn't about him being difficult. It was because he refused to bow down and follow the rules. Hollywood didn't want rebels. It wanted silence, obedience, and actors who stayed in line. Val thought it was all about passion and art. That's where he messed up.
Will you behave in another way or?
Yes.
Yeah.
In the way that gets me hired again. I was very outspoken about very specific things about the art. But it's a business. And I acted like it wasn't.
And here's where things start getting sketchy. Around 1998, Kilmer just falls off the radar. But it wasn't just him. Mel Gibson, gone. Wesley Snipes, ghosted. Brendan Fraser, disappears. All of them fading at the same time. Coincidence? The internet doesn't think so.
Mel Gibson, once a box office monster, suddenly can't book a single role unless he pays for the whole thing himself. Wesley? Slammed with prison time over taxes, blamed his accountant, but they still locked him up. And Brendan? He spoke up about abuse, and Hollywood went silent. Just like that.
People started asking, what's really going on here? And Mel, he said what no one else dared to say, out loud, back in '98. He painted a picture of Hollywood like some creepy saloon out of an old Western movie. You walk in, and the whole room stops. Everyone stares. Chills. Later, he admitted, he wasn't being paranoid. He was right. After he dropped The Passion of the Christ, the major studios shut him out completely. Dude had to fund his own films just to keep working. Then there's this. 1999 hits, and Stanley Kubrick releases Eyes Wide Shut. Secret societies, masks, elite parties behind closed doors. The whole film felt like a message, a warning, a full-on metaphor for what really goes down in Hollywood's shadows.
You know, I had a whole bunch of weird paranoid suspicions about what the hell was going on because there was a lot of stuff I couldn't understand.
Right.
And nobody was really bothering to explain it to me.
They don't.
And and I formed a bunch of opinions about the town and about the people in it.
Then Stanley Kubrick died. And not just any death. He passed right before approving the final cut of Eyes Wide Shut.
The whole place can't be like, you know, Weird Town, you know, where the stranger wanders in and all the people are in the bar and they all shut up when he looks at them. And they tell you don't go into the house on the hill. And it's like that. And then you go away and you think, no, I was wrong. I mean, that's insane thinking. I'm paranoid. I imagined that stuff. That couldn't be the reason for why so-and-so was acting like, could it? And then you find out later on the track that you were exactly on track.
Rumor has it, 25 minutes of footage vanished from the film, wiped clean. And here's where it gets real weird. 1999 was also the same year Val Kilmer dipped out of Hollywood's A-list, gone without a trace. And since we're talking masks, let's talk Batman. Kilmer's take on The Dark Knight? Cold, empty, haunted, like a dude carrying way too many secrets. That version of Batman didn't just wear a mask, he became the mask. It felt like Val wasn't acting, he was warning us, straight up metaphor vibes. But Val wasn't just making movies, he was filming his entire life. Childhood clips, behind the scenes footage, quiet moments no one else saw. It's like he knew one day he'd need receipts. In 2021, he dropped the doc Val, and it was chilling. Not just because of what he showed, but because of what he didn't say out loud. That whole film felt like a man recording his own disappearance. Then we got the island. Yeah, that island. The names, the flights, the shady silence. Look at the timeline. Kilmer's fall lines up exactly with when whispers about Epstein's world started creeping into the shadows. Did Val say no to something? Turn down an invite? Step on the wrong toes? We don't know. But too many careers started crumbling around that time for it to be some random streak of bad luck. Now rewind to 2015. That's when the script for Sound of Freedom was written. A movie based on the real-life missions of Tim Ballard, a former Homeland Security agent. A heavy film, focused on dark crimes happening to vulnerable people. It wrapped filming in 2018. You'd think a story that intense would get snapped up quick, right? Nope. Nobody wanted it. Studios treated it like a hot potato. Passed it around. Shelved it for 5 years. Why? Well, here's where it gets suspicious. It was originally supposed to drop through 20th Century Fox. But here comes the plot twist. Disney bought 20th Century Fox in 2019, and when they did, Sound of Freedom came with the package. And what did they do? Locked it away like it never even existed. Just buried it. Gone. No promo, no buzz, just silence. And let's be real. That's when people really started giving the side eye. Why would Disney, a studio built on family values, bury a movie about saving kids from dangerous trafficking rings? Doesn't add up. Fans were already connecting the dots, but then Mel Gibson jumped in, and things got way messier. Mel's been Hollywood's rebel for decades. He's been calling out the industry's creepy vibes since the late 90s. Back then, he was still questioning if he was just being paranoid, or if there was something really rotten behind the scenes.
But the longer he stayed in the game, the more he realized it wasn't all in his head. It wasn't paranoia, it was facts. He once compared Hollywood to a cursed small town where everyone knows the secret, but nobody dares to speak it out loud.
One story that never left people's minds? Mel once revealed something a top-level producer allegedly told him, and it sent chills. That was Mel's wake-up call. He said Hollywood was spiritually bankrupt, and year after year he got louder about it. No filter.
He called out the mistreatment of women.
There's a producer I know, successful producer, I will not mention names, but his whole opinion about women on film, from beginning to end, is very brief. He says, women on film, either naked or dead. Both is better. And it's like, whoa.
The way young people were being taken advantage of. The powerful figures protecting the worst kind of people. He didn't care who got uncomfortable. He said it all. So when Sound of Freedom finally got released, independently after being passed around for years and started racking up attention, Mel throwing his support behind it wasn't just casual. It was personal.
And the crazy part? That forgotten film ended up making nearly $100 million worldwide on just a $14 million budget. Now that's a statement.
But guess what? The mainstream media wasn't just quiet about Sound of Freedom. They were aggressive. Actually, scratch that. They were hostile. CNN, Rolling Stone, The Guardian, they all came swinging, labeling the film as conspiracy bait. No deep reviews, no fact checks, just eye-roll energy, dismissive headlines, and zero real discussion. Meanwhile, Mel Gibson, still out here trying to get projects off the ground, despite being pretty much iced out of Hollywood's inner circle. He's been hyping up Lethal Weapon 5, claiming it's the best script of the whole series. He says it's written, it's solid, it's ready to go, but no one's touching it, and even he can't explain why. But let's be honest, it probably has less to do with the script and more to do with studios still scared to bet on his name. And honestly, he's got a point. There are celebs in Hollywood with wild pasts, scandals, lawsuits, full-blown meltdowns, and they still get welcomed back with open arms. So why is Mel still locked out? That's the question he's been asking for years, but here's the twist. Some big names have stepped up for him. Robert Downey Jr., the comeback legend himself, publicly vouched for Mel. Even Andrew Garfield backed him during press for Hacksaw Ridge, which Mel directed. Garfield said it loud. Everyone deserves second, third, even fourth chances. But Hollywood didn't budge. And now Mel's hinting at something deeper. He's saying Val Kilmer knew what the real price of fame was. Not just long hours and pressure, he's talking about giving up your soul. And Val, he wasn't signing that spiritual lease. Mel pretty much suggested that Kilmer saw too much, asked too many questions, and turned down the elite's secret handshake. After that, the gigs dried up, the roles vanished, the media flipped on him like a switch. And let's be real, it was never just about stepping away or getting sick. According to Mel, Val Kilmer wasn't just pushed out. He was shut down for not following the quiet rules of the game. That same secret system Mel's been warning us about for years, it allegedly turned on Val the second he stopped cooperating. And now, people are starting to question everything. Maybe it wasn't ego. Maybe it wasn't attitude. Maybe Val got blacklisted for knowing too much and refusing to play along. So when he popped back up in Top Gun, Maverick as Iceman, it didn't feel like a triumphant comeback. It felt like a goodbye. And here's the twist. That voice in the movie, it wasn't even his. It was stitched together using AI, old recordings, digital tricks, anything to make that scene happen. Val wanted it so bad, they made it work. But behind the scenes, it took everything out of him.
Every moment on set was a fight. Every line felt like a mountain. His health was fading fast, but he showed up anyway. And after that film dropped, silence.
Val went off the grid. No interviews, no red carpets, nothing. Fans assumed he was just laying low, enjoying peace. But behind closed doors, he was really slipping away. Quietly, his inner circle started noticing. Calls went unanswered, texts left on read. Some friends hadn't seen him in months. Even family was in the dark.
But no one wanted to push because this was Val Kilmer, the mysterious one, the artist, the deep soul who always moved in his own rhythm, until April 1st.
That's when everything stopped.
News hit that Val had passed. And yeah, people hoped it was just a twisted April Fool's joke. But it wasn't. It was real. And when the autopsy dropped, the story took a sharp turn. Yes, he'd been fighting throat cancer, but the official cause of death? Pneumonia.
That word hit hard. Because in Hollywood, pneumonia has become code, a tidy label that gets slapped on too many sudden, unexplained deaths. Kim Porter, Andre Harrell, same script, same silence. It's the illness that closes the case and quiets the noise.
Val Kilmer was gone. But the real story, it hit even harder. The coroner's report painted a dark picture. Val had lingering infections, surgical wounds that never fully healed, and signs of severe malnutrition. His body was breaking down, slowly, quietly. It was the kind of condition you'd expect from someone who'd been fading behind closed doors for a long time.
I have an ankle for us. It's been a while.
Oh, you look great.
The report even hinted that some of the infections could have been treated, but weren't. Why? Because Val wasn't asking for help. He had shut down. No calls, no cries for support. He was holding it all in, physically wrecked, emotionally drained, and suffering in silence.
And then there were the meds. Prescription painkillers, a lot of them. Not enough to overdose, but enough to know the man was in constant pain. Not just in his body, but in his mind, too. The kind of hurt that eats at you from the inside out. The kind you stop trying to explain to anyone because you know they'll never really understand.
In his final years, Val turned inward. He spent time painting, writing, and staying close to his kids. But even then, he was still isolating, creating from a distance, living like a ghost. And just days before his death, he posted a Batman tribute, a quiet nod to the role that once crowned him a king, but also symbolized the mask he never truly took off.
Because Val Kilmer wasn't just an actor. He was a truth-teller wrapped in a cape. A man who dared to say no in an industry that rewards silence and obedience. If he got blacklisted for that, it raises a heavy question. Who else is keeping quiet just to stay safe? Maybe Val's silence wasn't weakness. Maybe it was survival. Maybe it was the only shield he had left.
Maybe the real mystery isn't how Val Kilmer died, but why he vanished in the first place. What really forced him into the shadows? What did he know that made the spotlight too dangerous to stand in? And if all of that hit you hard, you're not the only one. This story is deeper, darker, and way more tangled than anyone thought. And trust, it's only the beginning. You're gonna want to see what we uncovered next, because the mess, it gets even wilder.
So don't forget, like, comment, share, and hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming.
Catch you in the next one.